Here we are at stage 4 of track day, and I am working on earning my Porsche, and apparently disaster has struck. They say our steering took damage, but apparently it's supposed to be okay. So just start this stage and see what we're looking at. Green light comes and we'll see if my steering's goofy. Steering feels fine. So apparently it's a non-issue for this particular stage. So I guess they're just explaining to us why we fell back to 11th place and got to get back up to 9th, I believe it said. So we will keep this going until that point. Again, there Smith disappears and I've got nobody in front of me. No idea how far away they are. Big empty road and it's dark. Well, just keep driving really aggressive and we'll see what happens. There should be someone. Again, I'm taking kind of in between the second last sign and the last sign there is my braking point. No trouble catching him, so that's 10th place. Get a little bit of a push. Boy, he just doesn't want to keep on driving there. I thought he would have stuck better on my bumper, but apparently not. Used to having more difficult bots as we get into these later races of an event. I keep having just the minimum PR requirement, but these guys are really easy. I was expecting more traffic, but maybe there's traffic coming up. So yeah, if you know your braking points and you know the off-track cuts you can take, then there's ways that you can get ahead, as long as you're allowed to go off-track. In this car, it's not as beneficial because it's a slower car, but off-track handling's pretty good on this car because of its high grip. That helps a lot. And so there is Mr. whatever he is. And 9th place. Now, one thing I've been noticing is that if it says you're supposed to get into a certain position, you can't really get past it. So, you know, keep looking, keep looking. There is not one other car. Not a lapped car, not an 8th place car, so I guess we're really deep in the race and everything's really gapped out by many, many kilometers. There we go. Another stage where we got to get some drafting in. Let's see how much we've got to do. 20,000 meters. That is substantial. Way more than one whole lap of drafting to get in. Okay, well, I learned something in the last drafting event, and that was to get that drafting in early. I'm only on lap 198, so basically 2.5, maybe 2 more laps to go. Okay, for all you NASCAR fans, you'll appreciate this. I'm going to do some bump drafting. Let's get a view. Bump. And there we go. Let's get hooked up here and do some bump drafting. He's trying to shake me. Wish he'd just, come on, stay in line and we'll get going to speed here. You can see some of the smoke coming out of there, so obviously he's wanting me to pass him. I don't want to pass him. Might just have to dump him off to the side then if you're going to be that way. Still, that was, well, it's just a little over 10% of the drafting I got to get done. Also need to get up to 5th place. And this guy's slow. Well, let's see if we can get him to speed up a bit. If you watch my videos, you know that I pretty well only use chase view. He's just too slow. And then he won't get out of my way. What's your problem, man? There. Okay, hunting for 5th, hunting for 5th. Where is that 5th place car? Hopefully it's not too far ahead because I've got a ridiculous amount of drafting to get done. There we go, there's the 5th place car. Ah, he looks slow. I think I should just pass him and go for the 4th place car. Maybe he'd be faster. Then again, you know, this has been goofy. They've been running it this way that you can't find the next guy. He's nowhere to be found. I better slow down and let this guy catch up. Because that's the way they seem to be doing things. That if it says to get into 5th place, You can't get higher than that. So I could get to the end of this race and never have saw 4th place and will have wasted, 10 minutes. I'm not doing that. Okay. This guy's bumper is going to get really chewed up because I'm going to bump draft this guy like crazy. I got to back off going into these corners or I'm just going to end up wrecking him. The bots aren't very smart. If you push them too hard into a corner, they don't break early, they just go sliding. So here's going to be a wonderful place to get in some nice drafting. Let's hook up the bumpers here and get going. I might be a little bit mean. No Magnus in this event. Someone was already asking me if I missed Magnus. Yes, I miss Magnus because this is boring. So this is going to be my Magnus. He's going to be eating some wall. Let's see here. Oh, I didn't do that right. No problem. Okay, well, small problem. Obviously, I blew out a headlight, and most likely my windshield is toast. I'll have to get a look at that in a sec. Or maybe in a couple of minutes. There we go. Come on, speed up. Bump draft, bump draft. Hey, there's another wall coming up. Let's see how he likes walls. Try to get him turned into it. Ah, I just did the pit maneuver. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to turn him sideways, so basically we're in a T-bone position, and then plow him into the wall. Sometimes it's really funny. Sometimes guys fly up into the air a little bit. In Real Racing 3, you can't really get cars all that high, but you can make them go into walls. Sometimes some crazy stuff happens. Not very often, and that's what makes it even more fun, is that you can't always do it. All right, well, that last bit of tomfoolery had it so that we weren't hooked up very good. There we go, nice and lined up. And let's do this in driver view. I'm going to keep this in driver view. I can't see the road at all, not much, because he's in my way, so that's okay. He will be my guide. I'm going to stay on his bumper. And I'm just going to drive this until one of us wrecks. No brakes. I'm just going to go until either we crash or I hit a wall. He might dump me off to the side. Let's see what happens. Okay, we must be at the corner. Okay, better change views here so I can see what I'm doing. Still a whole lap after this. Well, yes, we're going 16 times regular speed because there's really not much more to see. In fact, there's nothing more to see. There's not one other car. So you just get a long, lonely lap. And we'll pull out of this, throw it sideways for a little skidding finish. Okay. Yep, 9 minutes, 19 seconds. That is a long race. And look at that. I mean, those first place guys, first, second, third, fourth, they're like over 2 minutes ahead of me, it seemed. I think it says 7:45. So there was absolutely no way I was ever going to get first place. Fourth place was just shy of 8 minutes ahead of me. And I mean, maybe I could have if I didn't horse around so much, but highly unlikely. Definitely not enough that I could have had all my drafting in. Now this one gets a little bit tricky. The handling is starting to feel a little bit off. Not horrible, it's kind of consistent. You're kind of keeping your device, for me at least, I was keeping a little bit more tilted to the left. And it would change a little bit here and there. You get that nice grinding sound once in a while, and that means that your steering is just taking a bit of a shift. But not too violent. I did find the car a little bit more skittish, like right there. I had a little bit of a hard time keeping it off the right-hand side here. I'm not trying to drive totally on the grass there. I'm just getting a feel for it. So just take it easy. You just have to hold position. I really don't know how far back they are from me. And another 2 laps to go yet. So corners that you'd usually be pushing it really hard, just get on the brakes a little bit earlier. Like right there, my trajectory is off because my device handling is a bit off. Even there, I usually wouldn't be braking there, but just take it easy. And it's a pretty easy stage. I found this one easy. And you can kind of just drive however you want to drive. There's no requirements about no off track. So we're going to hit hyperspeed here because there's just There's nothing to see. Empty. Empty, empty, empty. The empty night sky of France. Starting in my last lap here, way into it already. Still nothing to see, nobody here. It's so empty, it's like it's our own private racetrack. And that's that. And I'm dumping all sorts of earnings. If you didn't see my other videos, I'm doing this on purpose to get you guys these videos as fast as possible. And have to buy more tuning. Again, this is all going to be added up, and I will be talking about this at the end of the event. I'm not going to be giving you a running tally on what I'm spending because I don't want to be calculating all of it. But this is quite an adjustment where we're basically throwing away money to get a car, because none of this will stay on the car. And I'm finding that you really can't customize the tuning too much because you need so much. So I just started to look at this financially. I'm just going to be buying the cheapest tuning possible so I can get into the next race. I'm not really analyzing this very much, just buy. And there we go. That's the last bit of brakes, and that's not enough, so we move on to the next category. Okay, now I'm allowed to race again. Now, you're going to see what happens when this light turns green. And I veer to the right. I was already tilting my device a bit, and too much veering like that, you can lose traction and allow the guy to catch up on you. So take it easy. I'm braking a little bit earlier, and I actually blocked him because I was not getting the proper trajectory. So I purposely stayed in line where he wanted to drive. You risk getting yourself pitted that way or having someone do the pit maneuver on you. I know some people are saying, well, pitted isn't a word. Well, I've heard lots of other people say it, so oh well. Pit isn't actually a word, it's an acronym. But this is how language works. After a person uses a word enough, it becomes a word, even if you don't want it to be a word. It's just the way it is. If enough people use a word, it's a word. So there you go. I'm doing a little bit better. Getting a little bit ahead of this guy. It's not easy to adjust to this steering, but just try to relax into it. I have not adjusted any of my settings. I'm still running all assists off. I'm still running steering sensitivity 2. And when that horrible grinding sound happens, I try to get myself a little bit to the middle of the track so I can anticipate what it's going to do. So far, I'm having to keep my device tilted too far to the left. It's not throwing me back and forth at random. The worst event we ever had for steering issues was in the Venom. It was a devastatingly hard stage, and the more upgrades you had, the worse it was. It actually amplified the problem. It was at Indy Speedway, and I've done that event twice. I did it once with minimal upgrades, and I did it once fully upgraded. I actually found it harder fully upgraded. When that steering would change, it would dramatically thrash you to the left or to the right, and your car would just go flying off the wall. And in the Venom, you go airborne when that happens. Okay, another extremely long stage with very little to see. We basically just have open road and no cars. So if you can make it to the end, it's easy. There we go. More driver experience points. And again, earnings I'm not getting. I will also be tallying all the earnings, and that'll be talked about at the end of stage 5. Because that's the only time I'm going to know how much it actually cost. So many people, as soon as an event starts, how much will it cost? How much will it cost? I don't know. I didn't finish it yet. And it could be individual. Like one thing I thought of doing, and I did do some experiments with this. You know what? I'm going to save that next comment for my next video, put it near the beginning. I did some experiments with Driver XP, and my conclusion was to do it the way I'm doing it. But I don't want to get into this late in the video because it's over. So on to stage 5.